Elon Musk asked if AI will kill us all, and his answers are not great.
Is AI going to kill us all, Mr. Musk?
I hope not.
What do you
look, I think
do you feel like the government can protect us from artificial intelligence?
You should think of the future as a series of probabilities as opposed to certainties. There is some chance that above zero that AI will kill us all. I think it's low, but there's some chance. I think we should also consider the fragility of human civilization. And if you study history, I think you realize that there's a rise and fall to every civilization. Every civilization has sort of a lifespan. So we want us to last as long as possible.
Well, that's not concerning at all. For those, my God, people, like, you would not believe. I just totally boned all this. So everybody over here needs to come over here because I jacked that up. But whatever, we'll figure it out. How y'all doing? Elon Musk talking about AI killing us. Not something new. Not if you been in a box or something and you haven't heard him saying crazy things about AI killing us all, then I don't know where you've been. It's kind of common place, going on for 2 years now. Elon basically telling us that AI is going to end all civilization. And then he goes and says the crazy thing. To which I replied, this is the dumbest thing Elon has ever said. Repost if you agree. Of course, you don't get a whole lot of traction when you're hating on the God King himself on his own platform. But nonetheless, Elon Musk said a large solar-powered AI satellite constellation would be able to prevent global warming by making tiny adjustments in how much solar energy reached Earth. Yeah, that kind of looks like that. Elon, technocrat overlord, basically deciding for us, hey man, I got this. This is a great idea. Over on Interesting Engineering, this happened November 3rd. Elon Musk proposes AI satellite shield to fight climate change by dimming the sun. As if we didn't have enough problems already with geoengineering, now we've got the world's richest man. Oh, by the way, they just agreed to pay him his one, was it a trillion? Was it 1 trillion or was it 10 trillion? Yes, Jack, I'm definitely in need of the loo kit supplies, brother, man. As you can see, I didn't shave before the video. I was running kind of late. Tomorrow I got to go to work. But basically, this idea of a satellite-based sunlight control to fight climate change has got to be the craziest thing that I've ever heard come out of his mouth. And the fact that it's one of the richest men in the world doesn't really, smack of something you should just brush off. I mean, how many things has dude said that have come true, that he has said, hey, I'm gonna, start my own space company, I want to put 5G in space, bro. Like, it keeps getting creepier by the day. I think this one takes the cake though. Over on PC Mag, Elon's next big swing, the Dyson Sphere. For those who haven't heard of the Dyson Sphere, it's an older idea. The concept, also depicted in a Star Trek episode, would fill Earth's orbit with satellites to harness energy from the sun and block out solar rays to help cool the climate. Not going to read all this to you, but I kind of thought it was funny that down here, he said, for now, the idea of transmitting the sun's energy from satellites to Earth's electric grid remains largely a blueprint on paper. Back in 2012, Musk himself said, let me tell you one of my pet peeves. Space solar power. Okay, the stupidest thing ever. I was going to do an entire video just on space-based solar power and how they want to put stuff up in space and beam it down to the planet, and how that actually goes back to the 1960s. It's not a new idea, but it is a incredibly powerful weapon which could be used to control the weather, but that's a story for another video. It's like super obviously not going to work. Elon, the Valley Girl. He later added, citing the energy loss during the conversion process from space to Earth. However, his latest tweet suggests Musk sees real potential in tapping the sun's energy to fuel AI computing in Earth's orbit, which could help address environmental toll that ground-based data centers are already starting to create. SpaceX already has over 8,000 Starlink satellites in Earth's orbit and dominates the satellite market, but it wants to send up tens of thousands more to unleash even more capabilities for Starlink, also known as Star Shield in the Defense Department, or Department of War. Star Shield, for those who haven't ever looked that up, which has faced concerns from environmentalists and astronomers. Okay, so let's tie a bow on this real quick. Elon wants to put a whole bunch more satellites up there. This time he's talking about actually creating AI computer centers in space. Now, I can understand on the one side, why that would be a good idea, because you don't need water to cool them and you wouldn't be drawing so much power. Let's get to that. So over here, he's talking about something called the Kardashev scale, and he's literally referring to, like leveling up humanity. Like literally, he's like, well, we could move to a type 2 civilization, which is able to directly consume a star's energy, most likely through the use of a Dyson sphere. And there's an image of a Dyson sphere right there. I think you got it wrong, bro, because the Dyson sphere goes around the sun, not around the Earth. But still, is he planning? I don't know. I don't know what he's planning. I can't get in that head. You can't either. And I thought that this would just be like a knockoff, idea, until I saw this over on Google freaking research. And this is one day after he tweeted that out, by the way. Just for clarification here, November 3rd, November 4th, over on Google research, exploring a space-based scalable AI infrastructure system design. Okay, now I'm kind of crapping the bed. I didn't think that this was going to be something I'd have to take seriously. Project Suncatcher. Keep that name in mind. Between the Dyson Sphere, Project Suncatcher, and Elon's AI in space to cool the planet, this is getting freaky real quick. But the numbers don't lie. So at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is XAI's Colossus, which is the supercomputer that trains Grok. And, obviously operates a lot of the Tesla vehicle stuff, estimated to draw 300 million watts. So I asked it, how much does it use in a year? Annual energy, 300 megawatts times 8,760 hours equals 2,628,000 megawatts, or 2.6 terawatt hours. That is a lot of freaking power. So here's the rub. AI is not going away. It's only going to get bigger. Bigger and bigger in Lorax style. So not only do these AI data centers use massive amounts of power, they need massive amounts of water to cool them. By moving that to space, you have the vacuum in space, you have the extreme cold, you don't need to cool them, you have energy from the sun, you don't need to draw it from the power system. But this is the same guy who literally has said AI will kill everybody, and now he wants to create a self-regulating system of AI autonomous units in space, which could just decide, hey, screw my masters. Why don't I just block out all the sun or cause storms? And I mean, is anybody else seeing the freakiest possible scenarios for that? Yeah, so that's Elon, your boy. chief technocrat, now talking about putting his little AI in space with a slice of geoengineering. You can't make this stuff up. On a lighter note, people hate geoengineering. Over at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, bipartisan backlash against geoengineering and carbon removal in the United States. I'm going to link this up on my Substack so you guys can read it. It is a lengthy read, but it's pretty freaking good. It's pretty freaking good. If you get down to about here, controlling the clouds, they go over CO2 sequestration first and all the issues. Previous video on that, available on my Substack. You go to ClimateViewer.news. You can look up the CO2 pump, what I call them, sewer pipes. Carbon capture, geoengineering 2050. Go over to ClimateViewer.news. That is my Substack. Hit that subscribe button while you're over there and read all about the hidden dangers of massive CO2 sequestration. But in here, they talk about controlling the clouds. So then they go into a little bit of weather warfare. They mention, Project Cirrus and then Operation Popeye. A whopping 2 paragraphs on the entire history of weather control. I suggest if you want to know more about that, you go to weathermodificationhistory.com. But geoengineering and climate politics and nativist movements. So they talk about the history of geoengineering and how the political left's not really, they're more focused on things like, the glacial geoengineering that just happened, shutting that down. Also covered that on my Substack. If you guys want to check that out. It was basically this one, Geoengineering Project Halted. This was the ice, Arctic ice project. It's all on my Substack. Any of the new stuff, you'll be able to follow along there. But anyway, they're like, outside the climate movement, geoengineering will rapidly became intertwined with the so-called chemtrails theories. Although the lineage of the chemtrails theories can be traced back to an online essay in the early web, its popularity accelerated significantly, leading to all kinds of chaos and, people holding up signs that say chemtrails kill and all that. And we're really concerned because now MAGA and MAHA are in on this. Oh my gosh. Florida, Montana, Tennessee, now there's bills in Kentucky, New Jersey, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. Oh no, we might not be able to do our geoengineering because of these freaking chemtrail people. Anyway, fascinating read from the think tank, highbrow, society. You're gonna have to read that one. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse. Now, banned pesticides found in clouds, sparking new health concerns. The gist of this, 10 banned in the EU found due to health concerns were detected in every cloud sample above France. 2 samples exceeded Europe's drinking water safety limit. Clouds carried not just pesticides, but also emerging contaminants and new breakdown products. Most pollution came from long-range pesticide drift, not local farms. They could have come all the way from China or America to France. At any given time, French clouds may hold 6 to 139 tons of pesticides. And you thought that organic farm was organic. You can't, literally, unless your organic farm is indoors at this point, it's not organic. I mean, I literally am at the point now where I'm just telling my kids, stay out of the freaking rain. Just, let the rain hit the ground and then you can go back outside. They still play in it, but we're just, I'm Generation X, so I got to let my kids, hey, I was exposed to all kinds of stuff. I'm still here. Anyway, and that's not all. If you haven't heard this by now, it's raining PFAS, the forever chemical. This is from 2021. You think that this one went away? No, it hasn't. This is literally from the Florida International University. last year on my birthday. It's literally raining forever chemicals in Miami. And they say that, basically 42 rainwater samples across 3 different sites in Miami-Dade County, a total of 21 perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, were detected, including PFOS and PFOA, since phased out of production over cancer concerns, as well as newer varieties used in manufacturing today. Literally, every freaking rain cloud on the planet has PFAS and PFOS in it. Now, pesticides. Okay. I don't know what to say other than, like, the chemtrail people are just starting to make more sense. Like, literally everything, where it's raining chemicals everywhere. Bruh. I'm not going to go on about it. I don't want to get depressed. Let's move on to the next subject. So, on the topic of them chemtrails, interesting new breaking news on that. September 30, 2025. The Earth is reflecting less sunlight, study reveals. Okay, so make this make sense to me. Geoengineering is supposed to reflect more sunlight away from the planet. Okay? So the idea of stratospheric aerosol injection, solar geoengineering is that you increase the albedo of the planet, not decrease the albedo. And then what the study is basically saying is that the northern hemisphere has gotten darker because more particles in the atmosphere, more water vapor, and less snow and ice. If I'm summarizing properly. You'll be able to read it yourself. I'll put it in the article up on my Substack in the near future. For those who haven't been there before, go to connect.climateviewer.com. You can just click the link to the Substack newsletter, see all of my websites, join our Telegram chat, be part of the conversation, and you can also donate towards the studio, which would get me out of this bedroom. And I wouldn't be making videos at 9 o'clock at night on a freaking Sunday right before I go back to school or to work the next day. I said school. Bro, I'm losing it. I am freaking losing it. So anyway, this is an interesting one because, I'm looking at the study and, the Earth became darker from 2001 to 2024, meaning it reflects less sunlight, team reports, and the proceedings of the blah, blah, blah. The development is more pronounced in the northern hemisphere than the southern half of the planet. Okay? Decline in surface albedo in northern hemisphere. So, I looked at the paper and literally they're talking about like 0.34 watts. But if you actually look at the paper, I don't want your newsletter. Where's the paper? I saw the paper link. I actually had it bookmarked right here. So when you go here and you actually look at the paper, you have to be able to translate stupid science. And when you see this, you go, okay, so let me get this straight. That the northern hemisphere minus southern hemisphere trend difference is 0.34 plus or minus 0.23 watts per meter squared. Bro, so it could be as little as 0.11 and as much as 0.59 watts per meter squared. What? Okay, anyway, just moving on. So, I think this is much to do with nothing. I don't know what their goal is with this, but it's interesting nonetheless. Had to throw it in there because this is not the first time I've heard this. This is 2025. This is 2021. Earth has 2 different stratospheres. Wrong button. Earth has 2 different stratospheres, and aviation may be to blame. Now we're getting interesting. Findings suggest aircraft emissions may alter the stratosphere at mid-high latitudes. That basically, scientists have recognized that on average, air pollution in the troposphere or lower atmosphere is worse in the northern hemisphere than in the southern hemisphere. That's because nearly 90% of global population live there. However, and now analysis gathered during groundbreaking NOAA-NASA airborne research mission, probably the SABRE mission, they're not going to talk about that here, has found that the northern stratosphere, the layer right above the troposphere, is more polluted as well. Only in this case, the scientists believe emissions from a specific source, aviation exhaust, may be the culprit. The study published in the Atmospheric Chemistry and Physics, scientists from NOAA's Chemical Sciences Laboratory at CERES reported the measurements of very small particles and trace gases in the lower stratosphere taken aboard the blah, 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 blah. Let's just get down to the nitty gritty, the important part right here. Commercial aviation aircraft typically cruise at altitudes within the lower stratosphere and are known to emit small particles of sulfur dioxide gas in their exhaust. Air traffic is largely concentrated in the northern hemisphere and has been steadily increasing in recent decades, leading to a 23% increase in sulfur dioxide emissions between 2014 and 2018. So the sulfur is what's going up in the stratosphere in the northern hemispheres. Do I got that right? Well, let's check real quick. We'll go to chemtrailfacts.com and we'll just scroll down here to the bottom and we'll just take a quick look at what the hell they're talking about here. Oh, so there's this thing. This is flights per year, passengers per year. It's not flight totals. Getting actual numbers out of these people is almost impossible. But what you see is a massive jump from 2010 to present. In 2010, we were right at about 2.2 billion passengers per year. In 2019, we were at 4.46 billion passengers per year, doubled. In the COVID, it dropped precipitously, but we're now back up over 5, maybe even 6 billion per year. And this is basically, my timeline of why the chemtrail thing is such a big deal and how it got to be there. People don't really want to take into account the fact that social media was literally invented and then everybody got a cell phone, and then what in the world they were spraying came out right about here, and then exponential growth afterwards. But we'll talk about that on another video. So yeah, that tracks. So what are they talking about with the sulfur thing? Well, I did my own math on this. I had to do some maths. So approximately 0.15 teragrams of sulfur per year are emitted from jet exhaust into the upper atmosphere, into what's called the UTLS, upper troposphere, lower stratosphere. This is where the tropopause is. If I go back here to chemtrail facts, we can go all the way up to the top, and you can see here, this is the troposphere, this is the stratosphere, this dotted line right here is the tropopause, and planes are constantly flying above and below it. Below it, they make clouds. Above it, they do not. But all of their jet aircraft emissions, their particles, end up in the stratosphere. So all of that's a big deal. So 0.15 teragrams, this figure comes from global aviation sulfur emissions of about 0.2 teragrams of sulfur per year, with roughly 75% occurring during cruise phases above 9 kilometers altitude in the UTLS. So what does that mean? Can somebody put that in redneck for me? Because I don't speak teragrams, and I pretty sure that the majority of my audience doesn't either. So we got 0.15 and 0.2 total. What is 0.2? 0.2 teragrams is 440 million pounds of sulfur. Riddle me this. Anybody remember EPA's Lee Zeldin complaining about Yeah, Bettina, I totally boned the live stream, and I scheduled the live stream on YouTube. And then whenever I went into my restream and I hit edit and I made sure that I was on it, for some reason it still created a new one anyway. I don't know. It happens. So back to this thing. So EPA's Lee Zeldin basically was complaining about Make Sunsets, which is this geoengineering company on the West Coast. It's two guys, Luke Eisman and Andrew Song, and they were throwing balloons in the air and, basically selling cooling credits. The balloons amount to about 22 pounds of sulfur dioxide. And it was such a big stink that the head of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, tweeted about it, made a video about it, and then eventually made a geoengineering page and a contrails page over Make Sunsets. And then basically said, well, nobody's geoengineering. Meanwhile, hey, Lee Zeldin, can you mass, bro? This is what we're concerned about. We're concerned about 330 million pounds of sulfur dioxide going into the stratosphere. Can anybody say acid rain? Because that's sulfuric acid. Sulfur dioxide, SO2, plus H2O, water, equal H2SO4, sulfuric acid. So planes are spitting out a bunch of sulfuric acid. In diesel trucks, the tractor trailers you see going down the road, the EPA went and changed the regulations on that to bring it from 500 parts per million down to 0.15 part per million sulfur in what they call ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. EPA's Lee Zeldin complains about dudes throwing balloons in the air to 22 pounds of freaking nothing burger. They're really just snake oil salesmen. Let's be real. And I think they're hilarious, honestly. Like, I've talked to them. They're kind of funny. Still don't approve of geoengineering. Still want to ban geoengineering. But when we're talking about, he's complaining about 22 pounds of freaking sulfur dioxide from these yahoos throwing balloons in the air, but ignores the airline industry putting 330 million pounds. This rough estimate could be way higher, could be lower. Don't know. But this estimate is based on 600 parts per million in jet fuel. Jet fuel typically averages between 600 and 900 is the best estimates I can get. Does anybody know that the EPA regulation for jet fuel is 3,000 parts per million sulfur? Riddle me this, Lee Zeldin. Riddle me this, Maha crowd. Why has the EPA removed sulfur from all tractor trailers and diesel fuel and have not done anything about jet fuel? We're going to address that. We have an EPA petition for rulemaking in the process right now. We're going to directly address that specifically. More to come on that in the future. Please support our work. I'd appreciate it. So, last but not least, just your normal reminder. Solar geoengineering in the wrong hands could wreak climate havoc, scientists warn. Blocking sun may reduce global heating, but rogue actor could cause drought or hurricanes, reports or more hurricanes, report finds. This was on my birthday, November 4th, 2025. And it's kind of a, like, we already freaking know this stuff. Like, I'm just throwing it in there for those who aren't familiar with the idea that this is a terribly freaking bad idea and the geoengineering needs to be banned at a federal level. Full report can be found on the Royal Society, royalsociety.org. Solar radiation modification. I'm still mixed on this. It was called solar radiation management for the last 15 freaking years until the Biden administration decided to call it solar radiation modification, which is like weather modification. I actually like the terminology of that. I won't get too much into the semantics and ontology of that, but there is a shift, and that kind of matters. But anyway, I'm gonna put a link to this as well up on my Substack. All the links from this video will be available on my Substack. But they did mention the idea that it could cause drought. A rogue actor could cause drought or more hurricanes. Okay. What kind of rogue actor would you be talking about? Maybe, just maybe, they could be talking about someone like these guys. Israeli Stardust Labs, aka Stardust Solution, aka the Israeli stealth startup Geoengineering company, which has now got a whole bunch of freaking money. Here's their really crappy website. It's at Stardust-Initiative. It's not Stardust Labs, it's not Stardust Solutions, it's Stardust-Initiative.com. This is your actual rogue geoengineer right here. Now, of course, they say, hey, we're going to be good people. We're going to, we're just trying to there's their offices in Israel and in Palo Alto, Silicon Valley. I just covered this in my last video. For those who didn't catch it, Bill Gates, Rex Climate Doomers is geoengineering next. And all the way down here at the bottom, global cooling startup raised $60 million to test sun reflecting technology. And you can see right here, few outsiders have gotten a glimpse of Stardust plans, and the company has not publicly released its detail about its technology, but the company appears to be positioning itself to develop and sell proprietary geoengineering technologies to governments that are considering making modifications to global climate, acting like a kind of defense contractor for climate alteration. This is real. The thing that separates me from every other channel you're going to watch is I break these stories long before anybody else. Politico covered this on October 24th. I covered it January 14th. The only way you're going to get this kind of news is if you go to my Substack and subscribe. That's how you're going to get your notifications. That's how you won't miss a video. I post my videos there as well. And even after the video, I caught this one. Shout out to the friendly person that sent it to me. Geoengineering startup has been secretly lobbying Congress for months. Stardust Solutions hired Holland and Knight, but lobbying giant says it inadvertently failed to publicly disclose its work for the startup as required by law. An American-Israeli geoengineering startup seeking U.S. government contracts to cool the planet has quietly begun lobbying on Capitol Hill. If you're not freaking out by now, you should be. I told you guys I would tell you when to freak out. This is what you need to be concerned about. So to just tie a bow on all this, while everybody's very concerned about the planes we're seeing overhead, leaving all the clouds and, all that, while Tennessee and Florida have banned the chemtrails, they banned weather modification geoengineering, didn't change anything about the planes whatsoever because physics. While everybody's so focused on the clouds overhead, there's nobody really talking about the entire geoengineering industrial complex. From Elon's crazy plans in space to the marine cloud brightening project that's been going on off the coast of Australia since 2018. I implore you people, I implore you all to really take a serious look at this, Stardust Solutions, Stardust Labs, whatever the hell they want to call themselves today. Because if we take our eye off that ball, we're literally one government contract away from this company actually doing something really dumb that could hurt everybody. So that's where I want to kind of leave this today. Geoengineering is a terrible idea. Even the Royal Society says so. So many reports have said so. I could literally do 3 hours straight just showing you reports of geoengineering is a bad idea. It does not work. It's absolutely terrible. And I covered that in the last video as well. from my friend John Fleetwood, johnfleetwood.com. Geoengineering fails on every level, technical, economic, and political, say Columbia University scientists. Even the science behind it is absolutely freaking terrible. So read all about it there. That's in my last Substack article. It'll link you right over to his. Follow John as well. I also got Sayer G's article up in there, and you guys can check all that out in my previous Substack post. And like I said, this video, all the links that I just ripped through real quickly, you'll be able to review them yourselves. I love you, mean it. Just wanted to get this one in before I start the next work week. And with that being said, I'm trying to whittle these down to 30 minutes because nobody has an attention span anymore. So I'm just going to shut up now and say, have a blessed week. No fear. Keep a positive outlook. We are winning, despite what it may seem like. And there are so many people who are finally coming to the light and realizing that this is a more complicated topic. It is more nuanced than just they're spraying us every single day. And that nuance matters. So thank you to everybody who's, come to support me, come to, share the videos. I love you, mean it. Have a great week. See you on the next one. If this video resonates with you, leave me a comment because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.
Kids are impressed.